You may not have heard of Clark Olofsson, but you've probably heard of Stockholm Syndrome, an expression that was coined after the actions of this criminal in Sweden in the 1970s. We're heading to Netflix for Clark.
Mitt namn är Olofsson, Clark Olofsson. Och nu jävlar ska ni få höra min story. Du har säkert hört talas om mig. Bankrånare på världskändis över hela världen. Jag blev Stockholm Syndrome-mannen med hela världen. Men fan, det borde heta Clark Olofsson-syndromet.
Hey there, Tim from Screen OD here. Hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we are talking about Clark, which is a new drama from Netflix based on the life and times of Clark Olofsson, who is one of the most controversial personalities in modern Swedish history. Before we get started, quick reminder, if you love TV and movies, why not subscribe to the channel? And if you like the video, like the video. But what is Clark all about, I hear you saying? Well, it's time to find out. This is the story of Clark Olofsson, a Swedish criminal who made headlines throughout Scandinavia and the world because of his audacious activities and his escapes from different institutions. He's probably best known to many people for a 1973 bank robbery where hostages were taken for a period of days, and those hostages were treated apparently so well and there was so much kindness shown towards them that at the end of it, some of them defended him against those who were trying to save them. That is where the phrase Stockholm Syndrome was coined, and that is of course a phrase that we still use today. However, this drama is all about the life of this man and not just that one incident. So we start at the very beginning. And when I say the very beginning, I mean the very beginning, because the first time we meet Clark, he's actually still inside his mother's womb. And as he explains, he doesn't like being told what to do, and that's why he's not coming out. And so we have very quickly established not only a very quirky way of storytelling, which this show certainly does take you on a journey of, but also we establish a personality that is incredibly strong and one that throughout this series we will see start to develop. Now, this whole story is told from the perspective of Clark himself. He is the narrator, and I think that's always a really nice thing to be able to do when you're making a anti-hero criminal story, because you get to see a little bit more about the motivations. You get to also hear the justification sometimes of why people think that what they're doing is the right thing to do. Now, he's played by Bill Skarsgård in this with real aplomb. It's a fantastic performance and a great narration throughout, which you really want to have in the original Swedish with subtitles. There are dubbed versions available, but I'd recommend that you go with the original subtitles to really get the essence of the performance coming through. Now, we learn through this narration and through seeing things that go on about his childhood early on, about the violence that goes on between his parents, but then also his quite quick move into petty crime and then more serious crime as he gets older, stuff that will land him up in problems with the police, in juvenile detention centres, and he will have a fairly rough start to life. But this is something that also seems to solidify an attitude in him that he wants to go out and get what he can from life. And he has a phrase, if you can't be the best of the best, at least be the best of the worst. And that's something that really hits home very quickly in this series.
Kan vi inte prata lite om din pappa? För det känns som att du är rädd att bli som honom.
Fan, du vet ju, det här jävla samhället, de har aldrig gett mig en ärlig chans.
Jag vet.
Jävla skiten.
Du har så mycket att ge. Du skulle kunna bli en förebild.
Now, there's some great scenes at the beginning of the show that really kind of set up the premise for what Clark's about and how he is so sure of himself. One time that really comes to mind is when him and his friends break into the summer house of the Prime Minister of Sweden himself, and he ends up held at gunpoint by said Prime Minister, and he at no point seems to flinch. He just tells the Prime Minister that one day he'll regret the fact that he didn't know who he was and not the other way round, which is kind of a great example and a great summary of how Clark obviously felt about himself and how he would continue to feel about himself as he went on into his criminal enterprises. Things get very serious very quickly for Clark when he and his friend Gunnar are involved in a stop by the police, and Gunnar, who is panicking about the situation, ends up shooting one of the policemen and killing them. That means that they are now officially on the run and there's no way back from this life that he is living. He has to just keep going and he has to turn things up to the next level. Now we are also introduced to a love story, one that doesn't necessarily play out in the most conventional way, because the first time we meet the character, she is with her mother and he is telling a lot of lies to both of them and ends up having different encounters with both of those people. But as time goes on, him and Moody will develop a continued relationship and she will stand by him even though things are looking like they're going wrong. Now this is just simply a very, very good piece of television. It's obviously a story that you can't take your eyes off, because this is someone who just doesn't seem to want to say no and has such confidence in themselves and their belief that they can get what they want by doing whatever they want, that you just can't stop seeing what's going to happen next. At times it feels quite unbelievable, and this careful line has to be trodden by the program makers, and it's written and produced by Jonas Ackerland, and he's done a really good job here of making sure that this anti-hero character doesn't become too much of a kind of celebrity in the minds of the viewers. Yes, there are very endearing qualities, and yes, of course, at times you do find yourself rooting for anti-heroes in situations, but also there are enough reminders in this that this is someone who has done things that are wrong, is doing things that are hurting people and doing things that are bad. So you do also have that tempered side of the story, and I think that's done really, really well here, which sometimes it isn't in shows of this type. This is a quirky, a funny, a very, very exciting and dramatic story which you really want in your life. It's something that you may know a little bit about, but once you start to get under the skin of Clark and you start to hear more about the exploits that happened in his life, you will be gripped. And I don't think that you can do much better than switching on your phone, your tablet, your laptop or your TV, however you choose to watch, getting over to Netflix right now and watching Clark.
Om jag inte kunde vara bäst på att vara bäst.
Är du redan klar?
Du har med ett proffs att göra.
Skulle jag fan med vara bäst på att vara sämst.
This is a robbery!
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of other things to watch on Screen OD, so if you want to make your streaming life better, why not subscribe to the channel and everything will come direct to your feed. Hit that like button if you like what you saw, and more people will get to see content like this. Okay, thanks so much again, and we will see you again very soon.